When I got into high school, my buddy, who I played baseball with, just like convinced me to audition for this play. And he got the lead and I got the second lead, like literally got on stage and got my first laugh. Got my first like mid applause and laugh. And it was that moment where I was just like, yeah, this has been missing.
You're moving in a pretty kick-ass direction. With the projects that you've worked on, is there one that stands out as the most proud?
You know, it's really, because people ask you that all the time, and they're like, what's your favorite one to make?
Yeah.
And there's so many things that come into play. Like, you can have a movie that in your mind, when you were filming it, it was like Footloose to me stands out. Because Footloose, for all of the actors in that, pretty much that was our first like movie. That was the first movie I was on that felt like it was almost like a movie of making a movie. You know, the cameras come in and the lights, and you're on these big sets, and it really was like, like a summer camp kind of thing. When I was younger, you know what I mean? Like when I was younger, you get on set and you like look to be, oh, there's Nicole Kidman, there's Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
But on this movie, the whole cast was like, these young, all of us who were in our early 20s, and it was our first thing. So that was great. But honestly, pretty much each of them does stand out for a different reason. Obviously, Whiplash, like the fact that Whiplash went, because with independent films, you really have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, you can make a film and you can think that it's really good, but if it doesn't get the traction, if it doesn't really pop at a festival, and it doesn't keep the momentum, nobody's ever gonna see it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the way that I feel about it. It really doesn't. Like, when people come up to me and say, I love you, love Whiplash. And I like that because you want to be a part of a great film. I don't care so much at this point in my career about people saying, oh man, I hated that movie, but I loved your performance. Like, to me, that means nothing.
Is that a part of the fear of acting, is that you are sort of, a lot of times with other jobs, your ability to do work sort of speaks on behalf of your entire profession. For acting, you're sort of working, but handing it over to somebody else in order to take it in a certain direction. Is that something that you're conscious of?
Yeah, for sure. And they say, and I learn that more and more as I go on. Because when you first start out, you get a script, and maybe the script's pretty good, but you're just looking at your part. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna kill this scene. Oh man, I got some funny lines.
Yeah.
And then I realized early on, like, it's so much of it's out of your control.
Is there a particular genre that you have not acted in that you would like to?
I'd like to do a musical.
Can you sing?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's on my resume. But Shailene and I talk about really wanting to do a musical. And kind of my dream project that I'm just now starting to work on is I really want to do an Elvis movie. That's very serious. I've never been that guy to be like, I have to play this character.
Yeah.
But the more I learn about Elvis, the more I just really kind of can understand what was going on. It's like when you watch Joaquin Phoenix with Johnny Cash, it's not an imitation. And he doesn't really look like him that much, but you just feel like you're watching, Johnny Cash. And I know that part would give me the most scrutiny. Anytime you're playing somebody that's so dear to people, anytime you're putting it up on screen and interpreting it, I think puts you on the chopping block.
You're at a point in your career where you're recognizable. Is trust something that you think about, in the sense of, have you felt that as your career has gone down a road where you have and continue to lose your anonymity, do you evaluate relationships differently, or?
Well, I naturally don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. You're saying before.
No, I'm just I grew up in a pretty small town, and I went to public high school, and I went to college, and things happened for me in a pretty organic way. Like, I still have yet to have this one movie that just shot me right to the top. Like, I don't care who you are. If you were in Hunger Games, if people didn't know who you are, they know who you are now.
Yeah.
So, and for me, it's been pretty gradual, and I've done a lot of, I've kind of split it up between, independent films that have done really well critically, no commercial success usually with any of them. Even Whiplash, I think, I read a stat, it was like the second lowest grossing film to ever get nominated for Best Picture.
Wow.
Which is, you wear that with a badge of honor.
Yeah,
You're like,
dude, that's amazing.
Maybe people didn't see it, but the people who did really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then I've done commercial movies that just have not performed very well, at the box office, whatever it is. So I feel like each time I'm kind of being introduced to a new audience. And so, yeah, things that, and I know actors that got really famous when they were young, and they absolutely have more issues with that. And, but yeah, I have the same friends I've had since I was 15.
Yeah.
For better or worse. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, it's funny. I
what's
definitely
your,
agree
I
with
mean,
you.
I'm sure you,
Well, my point of, I mean,
let's turn these cameras around. Let's get you.
No, I think for me, I mean, I'm sort of in the same boat as you, in the sense of if you have your friends, you don't feel like you have to go and look for friends. That
Right.
doesn't make me not social. But yeah, there are definitely, I mean, I'm aware of it in the sense of if I'm interacting with people that I feel like are, hanging out with me for the wrong reasons, I'm not going to be rude to them or anything. I'm just,
Sure, yeah.
it comes along with the territory,
But
especially
you-
being
yeah,
in
you
Los
get
Angeles.
it.
I mean, I always say this city attracts the coolest, most creative and intelligent people in the world, and also attracts like
Biggest
the
loser,
ass,
like-
the warped ass, shittiest people in the
Ass
world.
warts,
I don't know,
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to come up with the most grotesque visual that I can.
Yeah.
No, there are some really shitty people, but
Yeah.
as equally there are some really amazing people. So I got to ask you, have you seen Zombieland?
I have, yeah, because I like Ruben Fleischer, the director, a lot.
Okay, so you know the scene where they go to Bill Murray's house and he's
Yeah.
pretending to be a zombie? Mm-hmm. He gets shot and Woody Harrelson leans in and says, "Do you have any regrets?" And his last remark is, "Garfield, maybe?" The question is, what's your Garfield?
I don't.
Do you have a Garfield?
No, I don't know. I don't have a Garfield at this point because, and I think it's tough. Like when, I started. The fact that I am getting a lead role in any movie in my 20s is pretty. Like that's pretty small. That's a small pond. It's there's not too many guys that I think was like the lead of my first movie when I was 25, where I was literally like one on the call sheet. And that's, there's not too many of those being made. You're working on your craft. Hopefully after each movie you kind of learn, what you want to do in the next one.
I've spoken to quite a few actors who have talked about having issue with the entire institution behind the Oscars. And I've talked to a lot of people who have, obviously say, what an amazing opportunity to sit in a room with people who I admire and be respected.
Yeah, sure.
And I think the psychology behind that is, well, the idea of acting and art in general is to make sure that people are not pitted against each other. In the first segment of saying, if you took issue with it, I guess the question is, where do you fall on that scale? Do you more sit in a room and go, okay, well, I'm being pitted against people, or do you more when you're sitting in that room, are you going, wow, this is amazing that I'm here, and this has always been a part of the dream?
Well, when you actually get to the Oscars, you realize it's a TV show. It's one of these things almost where it's more, you watch it at home and it's so prestigious. But then when you get there, they're like, okay, we're coming here, Miles, we need you to come backstage, and here's your lines for the presenting, and it moves pretty quick. Because I think it's one of these things maybe you don't get nominated, and you're like, wow, what the, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
All this stuff, which hopefully that is a very fleeting moment because. At the end of the day, it's just like you realize you need to. It takes a while before you're really contributing in this business. You might think some early stuff that you did is good, and then you rewatch it, and you're like, yeah, they're right. That's not very. That wasn't all that great. But Kate said, Miles, she's like, yeah, the Oscars, and people talk about it, and it is bullshit that you're kind of pitting people against each other in a very subjective medium.
Yeah.
But she's like, but at the same time, when they announce your name, and you get on that stage and you're holding that Oscar, she's like, it's everything you've ever dreamed of and more. Yeah, but at the end of the day, what I want the most is to be able to walk in a room with actors I admire, be able to look them in the eye, or to feel that you're there for the same reasons those guys are.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have that than any kind of celebrity or any kind of fame.
15 years from now, where do you see yourself?
15 years. It's so funny, man. It's like the difference between who I was at, 13 to 28, because that's time to me. It's like, people say, oh man, it seems like yesterday I was 14. You can't really look at that. Like memories can be, I don't think they work, linearly. They float around, but you think about, how much you've changed in that time. So 15 years, I'm 43 years old. Probably. Well, I hope I'm still acting.
Yeah.
I hope like that's still what's going on. But yeah, I imagine I'll have a family that is everything to me, because that's what people say. As soon as you have a kid, it's like you
Yep.
never knew a love like that until you have one.
Are you in LA?
I hope not. I want to. Yeah, I would love to like have some money or something to where I could just have a house up and away somewhere. But no, I want to be. I guess you always want to be like a bigger contributor to to something you love so much. So I hope with acting, I hope that I'm being able to work with the best directors. That's something that comes with time. 10 years. Like I think 25 to 35, that's really your sweet spot. And if you really put in the work there, you'll work the rest of your life. But, so that's important.